watching Afternoon Live. Do you clam up when it comes to conflict? Well, our next guest is here with tips on how to toughen up, have better mental toughness and emotional intelligence. We welcome the author of The Emotional Marine. Eric Rittmeyer is with us today. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Kara, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me. You know, my book's camouflage. You can't see it. It blends in.
I love it. I love it. Okay, mental toughness. I mean, how do you describe mental toughness?
Yeah, you know, so I get this question all the time. The simplest way to explain it, Kara, it's emotional control. As humans, we're hardwired to feel first and think later. When something happens to us, we react emotionally. Mental toughness is all about not trying to turn off the emotion, not trying to stop it, not trying to avoid it, not trying to suppress it. It's learning to acknowledge it and control it.
And control it, which is pretty tough to do, I'm sure, for a lot of people. Because when you say, like, crying easily is a sign of weakness?
Not at all. No, expressing the emotion's okay. It's just remaining in control of it. And here's the issue. Emotion and logic are inversely related. So as we become more emotional, we become less logical and vice versa. When we get so overcome an emotion that we can't think logically, we make really poor decisions. We say things we're going to regret. We do things we wish we never done. And we make really bad decisions when we're running strictly on emotion.
So your first tip with that is to take the time, right, to respond rather than react. When you say take the time, what does that mean? Does that mean 5 minutes? Does it mean a 10-second pause?
Well, it's all very subjective because it's based on that person. But the key is to understand that when something happens, the knee jerk is to react, which is emotion based. What we want to do is respond. When we respond, we process information logically. We formulate a response that's more appropriate for the situation. So instead of flying off the handle, we're in a more logical state of mind that gives us an ability to make better decisions.
It's hard to do, though. So what kind of is your first tip to actually take that second?
Yeah, I think it's really about acknowledging. That's the key here, Kara. Again, don't try to stop the emotion. You know, we have to recognize that every single emotion we feel is okay. 100% of our feelings are okay. It's how we respond to that feeling. Take control of the emotion, know when that trigger's been pulled, and just know that things you say and do when you're in that emotional state of mind, when it's clouding your judgment, you're not going to be the same person.
And to stay calm, right?
Staying calm is difficult, right? This is Marine Corps 101. We bleed in training so we don't sweat in war. We sweat in training so we don't bleed in war. This is all about mental preparation. When we're in situations and we know there's going to be people that are going to say and do things that are going to upset us, prepare for it mentally. Be ready for it. So when the situation arises, we can say, you know what? I know what's getting ready to happen. I'm going to remain in control of it.
Was that just an invaluable experience for you? I know that you're a Marine, and learning, like, in being a Marine, like, what were you taught to have this mental toughness? Because you're in situations that we can't even at all relate to.
Yeah, it's all about, these are two of the biggest words in my language, Kara. Don't ask me how to spell them. It's systematic desensitization. I know they're big words. We systematically desensitize our brains, and this is what we can do in non-military situations. Prepare for it. Be ready for it. Desensitize our brains so when these things happen, we can take control of it. We have no control over what people do to us. We have 100% control over how we respond to it.
Is it surprising to you how much, you know, your military life does actually correlate to real life and how you're able to mentally go through it?
Oh my goodness, this is the crazy thing, Kara. Here's the thing about veterans. You know what you get. You get commitment, integrity, accountability, loyalty, this service before self mentality. But the main thing you get in the military is you learn how to work with people that you might not normally get along with. You learn how to accomplish a mission. You learn how to deal with adversity. You work through things because you have a mission that needs to be completed. Transfers over really well in civilian life.
You know, and then there's this other tip that you have that you need to suspend your disbeliefs. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're dealing with people who have different points of view from us, what we have to get really good at doing is suspending our disbeliefs. So if I know I disagree with you on a topic, I have to be able to set aside my feelings on that topic and hear you out, understand where you're coming from, listen, right? We don't listen with the intent to understand anymore. We only listen with the intent to reply. Let that person know that we hear what they're saying, but if we can't set aside our own disbeliefs, we're never going to hear anything that's coming out of their mouth.
Well, and how have you learned that as far as being a dad? I'm sure that plays into that role as well, because you have two girls, and they're getting to that age that you necessarily, you know, don't quite understand what's going on in their heads.
Well, here's the simplest way. I got a lot of great information for your viewers here, Kara. This works really well with parenting, especially teenage daughters. yes, you're right, I'm wrong, I'm sorry. You can't go wrong with any of them. So it's just all about.
I thought you were going to say marriage too. That works in marriage a little bit.
It works in every facet of life. It's just you can't go wrong with it. But it's, again, just about listening with the intent to understand as it relates to our kids, to our spouses, to our coworkers, to people that we meet for the very first time. Let them know that we're here where they're coming from. And again, don't have to agree with them, but we can at least hear what they're saying.
And your very last tip is to know your triggers. How have you learned your triggers? Is it something that you have to mentally write or like physically write down? How do you go about learning your triggers?
Yeah, everybody's different on this one. And for me personally, it's like dieting, right? So if you're dieting and you're going to a party where you know there's going to be really bad food, you prepare in advance, right? So you drink a lot of water, you eat food to prepare. It's the same thing with our emotions. We have to go into situations, especially around the holidays, knowing that we're going to have the cousin Eddie's pulling up out front with the RV and you're going to rub him on his belly. Clarky likes you rub him on his belly. If we're prepared for it, if we know that trigger, the minute it's pulled, we know internally, Eric, they just did what you were prepared for. Be ready for this. Pass the potatoes, please, right?
Yeah, you have to know it for sure and know your triggers. I love it. Eric, this was a lot of fun, a lot of great advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Kara. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. You guys, there's his book again right there, The Emotional Marine. It does blend right in. All right, we'll have more information about it on our website at KATU.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this. But first, here's the latest must-have gadget from Genevieve Gorder.
The following segment is sponsored by Naki.
Hey, everybody.